Hi everyone, today we have a new tutorial for our Gigi dress. Gigi is a slightly fitted dress that features floral appliques with cutouts and ties. So if you'd like to make this dress, remember the pattern is in the description down below, or if you'd like to have it custom made, we also provide that service and we also linked it on the description. So let's get started. This pattern is recommended for intermediate or more experienced sewists. It can be a little bit challenging, so we just like giving you guys the heads up. Here's the list of everything you're going to be needing for this tutorial. In this case, I chose to use this forest green linen, but you could also use any other cotton fabric. To start, the first thing we have to do is print out the pattern. This pattern comes in A0, US letter, and A4 format. In my case, I'm going to be printing the US letter using Adobe Acrobat, which is completely free. And here you can turn on or off any layers or sizes you want. I'm going to be making size 38, and then you can just print as you normally would. Now that my pattern is completely printed out, I'm going to start assembling it. The first two pages are just basic information for every pattern. For the first row, I'm going to start cutting off the left edge of every page. And as you can see, all of the pages have these markings that help as guides to assemble the rows properly. And then you can just go ahead and glue it or tape it all together. From the second to the last row, I'm going to trim off the top margin and the left margin. And I'm going to assemble as normal for the rest of the pattern. Now you can just start cutting all of your pattern pieces. To cut the fabric, I'm going to be using the cutout layout provided in the instructions. After doing that, it's really important that you mark all of the notches on every pattern piece. You'll also notice we have buttonholes, so make sure to mark those on both the right and wrong side of the fabric. And for all pieces that are cotton fold, we're going to cut notches on the fold line. As you know, our front and back panels have flowers, so we're going to mark those lines with thread. So first you have to transfer the markings of the flowers from the inner and outer line. Now that I've drawn the flower, I'm going to be using contrasting thread to go over all of the markings. Remember that for this side flower on the back panel, it only has to go on one of the sides. you're going to repeat the same thing on all of the flowers. Now you're going to grab all of your ties and you're going to fold the long edges 7 millimeters inward. And then you're going to fold the whole strap in half and press once again. Then you're going to sew with a top stitch. You're going to do this for all ties. For the bias tape that you bought, you're going to fold it in half and press. Moving on, we're going to cut some thin strips of fusible interfacing and we're going to iron it to all of the flower's outer markings. I recommend making some cuts along the strip to be able to shape the lines properly. You're also going to iron small pieces of fusible interfacing on the wrong side of the fabric where there are supposed to be buttonholes. And now it's time to make the buttonholes. Grab your back round facing and you're going to stitch around it about 5 millimeters from the outer edge. Now you're going to take your back panel and you're going to match its back with the back of the round facing. Make sure the right sides are facing each other. And using the notches, you're going to line it up. And sew the center round opening, leaving a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Then you're going to make cuts along the seam allowance to be able to turn the facing to the wrong side of the back. Make sure to give it a good press. Now you're going to fold the raw edge of the facing inward to be able to top stitch all around the back facing. We have now created a tunnel, so grab one of your ties and insert it through the buttonholes. Moving over to the front panel, as you know, we have 2 notches over here on both sides. And we're going to be making 2 gathering stitches and gathering them so that they measure the same as from notch to notch from the side panels. As you can see, they both measure the same. So now we're going to match the front and front side with right sides together. and we're going to sew leaving a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Remember, we have notches here that help us as guides, so make sure to use those. You're also going to press the seam towards the side panels. Grab the seam allowance and stitch it together at about 5 millimeters. And gather it enough so it rests nicely on the panel. Now you're going to finish the seam allowances with binding. This is how the back side of your front panel should be looking like. And now from this notch over to the side, we're going to top stitch to make a tunnel for the ties. Now from the buttonhole, we're going to insert one tie. We have to secure the tie right at the top where we started top stitching. You're going to repeat these steps on the back panel as well. With your back panel facing up like this, we're going to match the front and back with right sides of the fabric together. On the side where we're going to have the zipper, we're going to sew from this notch towards the hem, but for the other side, we're going to fully close it, and we're going to do the same for the shoulders. Once you've sewn it all together, we're going to separate the seam allowance and finish them separately with binding. We are not going to do this for the side we're going to be attaching a zipper on. It's time to attach the zipper on this side, so grab your zipper, open it up, and match the right side of the zipper with the right side of the fabric. And make sure to pin it in place. After sewing one side, make sure to sew the other one as well. Once you've sewn the zipper, you're going to finish separately each seam allowance with the binding, starting from the top all the way to the hem. Now we just have to finish the neckline and armholes with binding. Once you've sewn the binding all around, you're going to bend the lining inwards and top stitch. The same goes for the neckline. And now we have to finish the back opening with binding as well. Make sure that you finish the corners as shown on the sketch. We have now created another tunnel, so make sure to insert one of the ties through the back center openings. And now you can tie it on the top. All of these 3 panels are your flowers, so fold them in half just like this and show the short edges at about 1 centimeter, but make sure to leave the part between the notches unsewn. For the flowers, we're also going to separate the seam allowance and finish them separately. Once you've done that, you're going to fold the long edge that's near the opening twice at 1 centimeter, and you're going to sew all around, making another tunnel. You're going to repeat this for the other 2 flower panels. Now moving on to the biggest flower on our dress, we're going to grab our corresponding flower panel and we're going to start pinning it all around the flower. We should have notches for the corners and centers of every petal. The entire flower should be pinned to the centers and corners of outer petal markings. You're going to sew all around, leaving a 1 centimeter seam allowance. And once you reach each corner, you're going to open up the notch a little bit more so it's easier to turn and sew. Make sure to just go slowly and carefully so you get a really nice finish on every flower. Once you've made sure that all of the petals look fine, you're going to cut the front along the inner marking line. And we're going to finish the seam allowance with binding as we've been doing all along. Here we have an opening for the tunnel, so you're going to insert one of the ties all through the opening of the flower. You're going to repeat all of these steps for the bust and side flower. The last step is to finish the hemline, so we're just going to fold it inward twice at 1.5 centimeters and sew all around. but we have to make sure to leave a small opening because we're going to be passing an elastic through. The elastic measurement depends according to your size, but once you've cut it on your size, just insert it through the tunnel. And now you can secure the elastic and secure the dress as well. You're finally done with your Gigi dress. This dress is absolutely stunning. I'm obsessed with how it turned out. It just looks so cool. So if you liked it too, remember that we have the pattern on our description, or you could even have it custom made. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!